Welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Coach Emery, aka Emery McMillan, and today I have with me Niajae Wallace, and she is a sound therapy specialist, and she has a coaching industry as well. But she is also going to share with us a lot of information about why she's in this industry and why it's important to know about this industry. So she's going to introduce herself, and I'll jump in with a bunch of questions like always.
Thank you so much for having me. So as he says, my name is Niajae. I am a coach and certified sound therapy practitioner. And I feel like I was led to do what I'm doing. So I used to have a dance and aerial studio for 5 years, and I actually sold that business and transitioned to coaching. So year 3, we were at capacity, which is not very common for a lot of brick and mortar businesses. So the business blew up, and a lot of people were asking me, like, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you start it? And then how did you get it thriving the way it was? But the missing point for me was I didn't have a good self-care regimen. So year 3 to 4, I became burnt out. I was exhausted. I lost my zest for life because I was working nonstop, and I didn't have that good self-care regimen to take care of myself, which a lot of entrepreneurs don't. So year 5, I put a exit strategy into place, and I sold that business. I moved to the beach because that was my solution. I'm like, I need relaxation. So I moved to Florida, and I started coaching because so many people were asking me, how did you do it? I want to start a business, like, guide me. So that's what I started doing. I started helping people build businesses, but I wanted to do online businesses because that whole laptop lifestyle was becoming popular.
Right.
So I was helping people start businesses and make money online specifically because at that point, like, a brick and mortar business to me was like, I don't want to say the worst, but for me, I had just become so burnt out from running a brick and mortar business. My focus was online business.
Right.
So during that time, and I'm giving you the whole, like, timeline.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So during that time, I launched a podcast because I realized that a lot of people that are coming to me that want to start businesses can have all the strategy in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset,
Right.
you're not going to be successful. Or if you are successful, you're not going to be happy or healthy. So what I wanted to do is help people live abundant lives. So to me, that's having the success you want, that's having the love you want, and that's having the health that you want. So that self-care regimen was really, really important to me because I was a burnt out entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So while I was doing my podcast, we talk about a lot of healing modalities because to me, like, that's how you live a happy, healthy, fulfilling life, is having that solid morning routine. And during that time, I discovered sound therapy. And so I don't like talking about something that I haven't tried. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try it. So I did a sound bath, and I came out and I was like, oh my God, what was that? I need more of it in my life. So it took me into the deepest meditation that I've ever been in. And I was in another realm. I was like somewhere else. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I woke up out of that meditation with clarity that I've never had, and just a focus and creativity. And I was just like, I need more of this. I need more of this. So I started going once or twice a week, and I felt the layers, like, just being peeled back, because we have layers of crap. We have fear and doubt and insecurities and all the things. And I literally felt them just falling away.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I need to know more.
Yeah.
So I ironically, just because the universe kind of works the way it works, I was going to lunch with a friend, and we parked somewhere that had this little shop that I've never seen before. And they're like, oh, look, they have sound bowls. And I was like, I live right here and I've never seen this before. And they're like, let's go in. So we go in, and there's all these sound bowls. It's like a shaman, and just right down the street from my house. And I never saw it before, but he has all these sound bowls. And so I pick up a bowl and I start playing, and he's like, oh, you're a natural. Usually people can't pick it up and play like that. So of course I was hooked. I'm like, all right, sold. I'm buying this bowl.
Right.
So I buy the bowl and I just start playing every day. And I felt so good. And we have all these different things in life that are constantly pulling at us, and to have something that just brings you back to, and I'll get into the science of it, but brings you back to like your baseline resonance, like your natural energy
Yeah.
before the world affects you. And so I was playing every day. And then again, the universe, I saw an ad for a certification program that was coming to Tampa. So I was like, but no, I have so much on my plate. Like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
And then my friend was like, oh my God, did you see this? You have to do it. So I'm like, okay, this is definitely a nudge from the universe. But I'm like, how could I do this? Like, I have this going on and that going on, and it's a lot of money and et cetera, et cetera. And like, literally everything fell together to where I could do it. Like, everything fell into place. I kept seeing it. So the universe was like, hello, hello, hello.
Right. You see me over here.
Right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And when I committed, it just fell into place. And so I took this certification program, and it was intense. It was a full week in person, 8 hours a day.
Wow.
And it was more than I ever imagined. So when I first started playing the bowls, it was just sound. And so what I actually am certified in are the therapeutic sessions where the bowls are on the body and it's activating your lymphatic system. So in addition to the sound, you're also getting physical vibrations that is causing your cells to rejuvenate and heal on a cellular level.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's the whole story.
That is so that is like, what do you feel when you tell this story? Like, what is it that the first thing you feel, like knowing that you live without it, and then understanding what it is to live with it? Like, what is that shift in emotion that you have?
Well, I believe in divine timing. I believe in divine timing. So I believe that when things are brought into our lives, it's at that right time. And I was at a place where I was ready to heal. I was ready to overcome some blocks. I was ready to go into that next phase and that next realm. If I would have been introduced this maybe 5 or 10 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have been ready to take on everything that has come from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That sounds, it sounds such an amazing story. Like, almost like you were sent to the beach. You were sent to that place so that you could find this, because I've seen what you do. I've seen like the classes and how you have it's like 8 or 9 people, and they're just there receiving. And I don't know about anybody else, but to me, I feel like sound is one of the most natural things that we can have in our bodies. You know, we talk about water all the time, and water, 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 but a lot of times when you go to the beach, it's the sound of the beach that soothes you. It's the sound of everything, like all the things we love. It's the sound of those things that people don't even realize is what's really affecting them the most. And so when you said, like, you walk into the shop and you said you're a natural, this is not coincidence. This is, like you said, you're always where you're supposed to be as long as you're moving forward.
Mhm.
And so thanks, kudos to that friend that didn't let you skip out on that ad, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. So now you have the studio, and you have, I don't even know how many clients you have that come in at one time, but you have a lot of people that can come in. How does it work? Like, how do you process everything for individual people? Like, are you doing individual focus for individual people in the session, or is it just like a group and they all get kind of the same energy, or is it like one kind of calibration kind of thing?
Yeah, such a great question. So, first I'll explain how it works. So, with the sound baths, and for someone who doesn't know, it's crystalline Tibetan sound bowls that I play. So, when you play a crystal or Tibetan sound bowl, it creates a vibration that creates a frequency that is measured in hertz. And the hertz, or the different frequencies, activate different brain waves. So, we have 5 different brain waves. And when you do a meditation, you're going into a theta. So our theta brainwave is where the healing happens. With the crystalline Tibetan sound bowls, it's producing a specific frequency that takes you first into your alpha state and then your theta state. So that's why I was in that deep meditative state. So usually when people are meditating, they're trying to get to that state on their own. And unless you're an experienced meditator, most people don't get to that state by themselves. So with the crystalline Tibetan sound bowls, it's helping them go into that state because it's activating this specific brainwave. So that's how it works. And when I'm doing a sound bath, I do both group and individual sessions. But when I'm doing a group session, the different frequencies are affecting people slightly different. And when I say that, it's because our bodies are designed to heal themselves.
Yeah.
So if you are experiencing, let's just say, some lower back pain, and your body knows, okay, I have some aches and pains here. And I also do a guided meditation where I say, breathe into wherever you're feeling tension or pain in your body. But your body knows, okay, this is not the way it's supposed to be. So I'm going to heal this area because we have a baseline resonance. So I mentioned that a little earlier. We have a certain frequency, like our cells, our bodies are constantly moving. Everything is energy. So our baseline resonance, when you wake up first thing in the morning, before you get on your phone, before you talk to your partner, before you talk to your kids, that is like your natural baseline resonance. And what happens is throughout the day, we're intaking different chemicals, we're around EMF and like all of the like Wi-Fi signals and all of
Yeah.
these things that are affecting our baseline resonance. So what happens with the sound therapy is it's taking you back to your baseline resonance. It's allowing your body to be balanced, and when it's balanced, it can heal.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really really powerful. So that's just with the sound, and that's all from like your brain. And if you think about, you mentioned music, like if you think about how music affects us, when you're sad, you put on a certain song and it helps you work through those emotions. When you're happy, you put on a certain song and it pumps you up. So like music is that powerful, you know. And even there's studies done where if you listen to, they say like Mozart or something like that while you're studying, it'll help you improve like your test score.
Yeah.
There's so much science behind the benefit of music. So with the different frequencies, it activates brain waves to help balance your body so your body is in a position for healing. So whatever healing your individual body needs, that's what your body's going to do because they're designed to heal themselves. And then take it another step further, excuse me, I do the vibrational, like therapeutic sessions where the bowls are actually on your body. So you're feeling the
Wow.
vibration physically, and that activates your lymphatic system. And obviously, our lymphatic system is again designed to heal our bodies. So activating that lymphatic system, it's kind of detoxing. So if you have any organs that are not getting the proper amount of oxygen or blood, it will help wake all of that up, balance your body for healing.
Wow. So this is interesting. It's very interesting. You said something earlier about theta state, right? Theta
Mhm.
mindset or theta waves. Um, I read something where it says we wake up, and when we first wake up, we're in theta. Is that like how this works? Is that kind of why
Yes.
it's important to have a morning regimen?
Yeah, so theta is that state like right before you go to sleep or right when you wake up. So it's
Mm.
kind of like you're there but you're not there. Have you ever had a dream where you're like, "Oh, this feels so real, but like I wasn't completely woke, but I wasn't completely in like a deep sleep." So
Absolutely.
it's that state. And depending upon a person's sleep pattern, they may not get to that state often. So if you don't meditate, if you don't have a good sleep pattern, then you may not get to that state. Or if you wake up and you get right on your phone, or you have an alarm clock that kind of jolts your system, it's like sending you almost into this panic, and so you're skipping that kind of theta state. So it's all about like our nervous system. So with the sounds, it's relaxing our nervous system. And a lot of people aren't relaxed. We're in a constant state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
So if you have an alarm system, or if you have a partner that starts complaining in the morning or whatever, so when you're in that vulnerable state, if something chaotic happens, that's a jolt to your nervous system. So what this is doing is it's relaxing your body, it's resetting your energetic field. So again, your body can heal itself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that you say that part, as far as like the morning when you jump in, you jump on your phone, or you're jolted out of that mindset. So I'm not sure if you've ever had this happen, but like the dream where you wake up and you can remember everything about that dream. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're playing it back in your head in that first space when you first wake up. But it's only that those times when you don't do anything else first that you can recall every single thing from that dream. And you kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, it's almost like you're able to really like, I watched this movie, now I'm analyzing this movie that I watched. It only happens, and I never realized it only happens for me when I have those mornings when I wake up and I just lay there and I think about it. If I jump
Yeah.
up first, or if I do something first, or I'm distracted first, it automatically goes away. It's like
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a 10-minute window, not even that big of a window between waking up and doing the first activity. I'll lose everything. And I'm like, I know I had a dream about something and I can't remember it. What do you know? And this may not be something that you're familiar with, but do you know why that is? Like why we're wired to have that as soon as we wake up? Like what is that science behind that?
So when you're in your theta state, it's kind of like the the veil between the conscious and the subconscious is like super thin. So when you're in that theta state, so actually like hypnosis and NLP, it all takes you into that theta state because you're vulnerable. You know,
Okay.
your subconscious is kind of exposed. And the reason why getting into that state is powerful in a healthy manner is because you can reprogram subconscious blocks. You can reprogram that outdated belief system that's standing in your way of being the best version of yourself. So, first thing in the morning, when you're in that theta state, that conscious and subconscious is kind of blended, or the veil between the two is very thin. So that's why having a solid morning routine is so powerful. So one of the things that I do first thing in the morning is journal. You know, if I had a dream or if I'm feeling something, because I believe also if we take it kind of on the woo woo side, I believe also that it's our higher self or our inner voice trying to communicate with us. So everything that we see or we feel or we hear is being stored subconsciously.
Right.
And if you can write down first thing in the morning before you get on your phone, before you talk to anyone, journal 1 to 3 pages, that will help you uncover what's actually going on inside.
Hmm.
You know, so when you have those dreams, write the dreams down, because that's our way, that's our subconscious way of communicating with us. So what's actually going on in the back of your mind, not on the forefront, because you can say, okay, this is what I'm thinking about, but we have subconscious feelings, thoughts, blocks, programming that we have to access, because those are like, that's the work to fully step into your power and sovereignty.
Wow. That is, I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people because it sounds like it already is going to help me because I know that there's things that I experience in dream state or whatever, whatever wave frequency that's considered. um, there are things that I experience there in that relaxed mindset that I know that I want to remember in that moment. And sometimes even when I'm dreaming, like I'll come out of my dream, but I'll still be asleep. And
Mhm.
I'll be like, wait a minute, I want to know, I want to look into this some more. But I'll fall back to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning, I do my morning routine, but my alarm clock does wake me up most of the time. And so it's going off, even in my dream, it's going off until I wake up and I, boom, turn it off. And now it's like, okay, morning routine time. I don't take those few minutes to journal or to jot down what I'm thinking or even do an audio note of what I'm thinking. So I feel like I am missing a little bit of that connection between my subconscious and conscious mind. And now that you say it, it makes so much sense and it seems so natural to do. People always talk about journaling, but often don't tell you when you should journal or why you should journal. It's just like journaling is huge. Always journal, and then they go to something else. I'm like, I'm glad you just broke that down for myself and anyone else who has heard that and doesn't know why.
Yeah. Journaling is so powerful. I mean, I journal all throughout the day. So if someone says, you know, journal all the time, it's not bad advice, but
Mhm.
explaining why. So first thing in the morning, you know, I'm someone who my brain goes 180 miles per hour. I'm sure you know from following me online. So I have, like, when I wake up in the morning, I have so many ideas and so much clarity, because clarity is like one of the biggest benefits to me of being in that theta state, because you're calming the monkey brain.
Mhm.
So I have so much clarity in the morning. So for me, it's the best time to journal because I'm not affected by what's going on social media, what's going on in the world. Like it's literally just me and my thoughts, my higher self communicating what I need to know. And that's why they say to meditate in the morning. And there's a big misconception that meditating is quieting your mind. The first step in meditating is observing your mind.
Hmm.
So it's not trying to get rid of all your thoughts. It's what are my thoughts? People don't take inventory of what's going on in their brain, you know? So really checking in. And that's what I say. So my advice for morning routines is the first thing to do is to check in. What do I need right now? How do I feel right now? What is going on in my mind? What's going on? Like, do I have any emotions? Do I have any physical sensations? So I believe that we have trapped emotions. Like we get in a habit of always being okay, always going, grind and hustle. And we ignore what's actually going on in our bodies. So when I do sound therapy sessions, I'm reminding people check in. Like if you have an ache, if you have a pain, if you have some tension or tightness, this is your body communicating with you. So I believe that we are powerful, dynamic beings. And it starts out as a nudge of like, okay, I have this little ache, but you ignore that ache. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to send you this dream. Then you ignore the dream. And then like, it keeps going until you can't ignore it anymore. And your body's like, hello, I've been trying to communicate this with you. So in that theta state, that communication is more clear. And so whatever a person needs, everyone is different. Like I've done a sound bath and I always share at the end. Well, I open a space for people to share at the end. Some people want to, some people don't. But when people do share, everyone's experience is different because everyone needs something different. You know, some people need their heart chakra aligned, some people need their root chakra aligned, some people need their third eye chakra aligned. So everyone's experience is going to be different, but it takes you into that space where your body can heal and communicate with you what you need to feel your best.
Okay. Now you just dived into a whole different level of amazingness that now I can't allow it to be skimmed over because you seem like you have knowledge in that area. So, for someone who doesn't know what the chakras are and how they affect you in your life, can you break down a little bit overview of that?
Yeah. So a really simple way to think about it is their energy field. So we are energetic beings. Our cells are constantly moving, our organs, everything's constantly moving. So that's energy. And they broke the chakras down into 7 main categories. And we actually have hundreds of chakras, but they broke it down into 7 main chakras. So it just covers that general area. So basically, we have these energy fields that can be thrown off by different things. So if you have a blocked chakra, that means that, so, well, let's just take the root chakra, for example, because that's the foundation. So our root chakra controls our sense of safety, our sense of stability, our right to take up space in a world. And our connection to like the earth, for example. So when we feel scatterbrained, when we feel life is crazy, when we feel like, you know, I'm not making enough money, or you don't feel comfortable in your home, that throws off your root chakra. And then it shows up in your life in a certain way. So if you are having issues at home and you're not feeling safe and comfortable in your home, that's going to show up in your life in several different ways. So that we store that energy in our bodies. So if you have lower back pain, that is a indication that your root chakra is blocked or unbalanced. So if you are experiencing financial problems or stress at home or anything that makes you feel unstable or unsafe, it's going to show up in your body, usually in your lower back. So for someone who constantly has lower back issues, that's your root chakra, because it's located at the base of your spine. So I know a lot of people have lower back issues. And usually when people come to me and I ask them like how they're feeling, I can pinpoint exactly what's going on according to where the aches and pains are. Because like I said earlier, we store trapped emotions. So the way that I would explain a chakra system is a roadmap. It's a roadmap to where you are, how you feel, and what's going on in your life. And I know there's a lot of stuff that says like balance your chakras, and some people may misinterpret that as like you balance them and then they're balanced forever, but that's not the case. It's a continuous effort because life happens. So you could wake up and your chakras are balanced, and then you walk into your office and something completely throw it off, and it triggers, you know, an energetic imbalance because now you're upset because this happened or you received this email or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's really amazing how brilliant our bodies are to communicate with us, but we just need the knowledge or that roadmap to know what it means.
Right. That is, and I appreciate you explaining that, because as the world becomes more aware of this energy being that we are, there's so many terms that are being used regularly, but I think that a lot of people are missing the mark because they don't understand how this ties to that. So we have meditation, we talked about sound therapy, we talked about singing bowls, crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, chakras, all these terms that people may not understand. And I think that a lot of times when you get that system overload, you just tune out and go back to scrolling Facebook or Instagram, and the message that could have been for you or the thing that could really help what you're dealing with is too much for you to intake. So I'm glad you were able to break those down into, conversations that people can now go and have and find more answers to, maybe even reach out to you to do that. So I want to jump into some questions about what and why. So I know that you found this energy healing sound therapy to be a calling of yours, but what made you want to share it with other people? Like, did you know initially when you did it that it was something that you could benefit from for yourself as far as how you feel? But what made you want to share it? Like that's the first question. The second question is, what made you know that this was something to share with other people?
So I believe that we all have a purpose, and I believe that the further you go away from your purpose, the more you're going to experience depression and voids and an emptiness. So for me, I was told at a very young age that I was a vessel. Like, you are sent here to do this like big thing, like make this impact in a world. And I was just like, no, thank you.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it. It sounds like too much responsibility. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to have to like do what whatever higher being you believe in, God, the universe, like is sending me to do. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I want to do what I want to do. Just being really honest. But for me, like I used to do music. So we talked a little bit about music before we started recording. And I wanted to make people feel good with my music. I did really up-tempo, just like high energy music. And so I feel like I came in just wanting people to feel good, wanting people to be happy and be vibrant and thrive. So that's always been my goal. And then when I had my dance and aerial studio, I realize how much impact you can have when you believe in someone and get them to believe in themselves, how much that can affect their lives. So it was just a dance studio. But aerial, so for anyone who's listening that may not be familiar with aerials, it's aerial silks like in Cirque du Soleil. So I would have women that would walk by and be like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I'm not strong enough, or I'm not flexible enough. And I'm like, well, I teach you to be strong and flexible. So just come to a class, just do it, you know? And when they would see like, I can do this, I can be strong, I can be flexible, it trickled over into every area of life. I had women start businesses. I had women, you know, leave their deadbeat partner and find someone that they were truly in love with. I mean, just the things that I saw happen in people's lives just when they believed in themselves blew my mind, which is why I started coaching, which is why I started my podcast. So I know this is a long-winded answer, but I just feel like I was sent here to inspire people. So when I discovered this thing, I knew that it wasn't just for me. I knew that it was a tool that I meant to help people with.
Right. That is incredible. And you said something that it's kind of like a recurring concept on my podcast is especially when I'm talking to coaches, that currency that we feel, right? It's like the ultimate payment when someone has that aha moment when they're like, I can't, they walk past the window, I'm not strong enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not able to do this thing. You know, they want to work with you or they want to be part of what you're doing. And like, but I'm not, all the I'm nots, right? And you have that moment where, like you said, they realize I can do this thing. That moment is the currency for what we do. Like that moment is the transference of why you're here to now you know what you're going to do, and it's there's no other feeling to describe how that feels for someone like yourself and I. um and to me, I feel like that is why we're in it. Like people who have a passion for what we do, what they do, like you do and like I do, that moment is all that matters. Yes, we get paid to do it. Yes, there's currency involved. Yes, there's financial, you know, compensation for some of it, but it's really that moment, that result where they're like, they walk in the door and they're this thing, they're this box. And then when they leave, they're this circle of flowing energy where they're just like, I can do anything. I can roll through any obstacle. And it's just, it reshapes the whole person. So when you said that, I'm really glad you brought that up because it shows why you're in what you do. And it shows the selflessness of your industry and your business. So kudos to you for being that way.
Can I share something with you?
Absolutely.
So the word selflessness is really funny because it just came up recently. I was listening to Brene Brown, her podcast. I love Brene Brown, but the topic of selflessness is a huge one because especially with coaches and healers and you know people who want to serve, they feel like they have to be selfless. I don't consider myself selfless, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
So I believe that we have two different types of happiness. We have hedonic happiness and eudaimonic happiness. And hedonic happiness, so hedonism, hedonic stems from the word hedonism, which is all about self-pleasure. So that's you doing what you do because you want the big house and the big car and the exotic vacations, the designer handbags, whatever the case may be. So that's one end of the spectrum. And then you have eudaimonic happiness, where you just want to serve and you want to give back and you want to make an impact and you want to help people. And that's the other end of the spectrum. So if you're too far on the hedonic side,
Mhm.
you run your business because you want to live this fabulous life with
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. But if
Exactly.
you're too far on that end of the spectrum, it becomes shallow and it becomes empty. So there's a lot of people that like work hard to make all this money thinking that the money in the house and the car is going to make them happy, and then they get it and they're like, well damn, I'm not happy, and they said this was going to make me happy.
Right.
If I got all these things that I wanted, this was supposed to make me happy, and there's an emptiness, there's a void, and I don't understand why. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the people that just want to serve and they just want to give back and, oh, I don't need much, like I'm going to be a minimalist so I can give everything back, they become depleted. So one of my favorite quotes is, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of you first. And I stand by that. So that's why I say I'm not selfless, because I check in and I take care of me first, in a sense of like, when I wake up in the morning, before I walk my fur baby, before I do anything for anyone else, I'm like, what do I need? What do I need to feel my best? Because if I'm giving you everything that's in my cup and I'm not replenishing it, I don't have any more to give once I'm depleted.
Right.
So I believe that life is all about finding the balance between the two. So the balance in between, like you have one extreme, the other extreme, finding that balance in between the two. So taking care of you first. And I know entrepreneurs, they're always focused on their business first, and then that's how they become burnt out. And then parents always focused on their kids first, and that's how they become burnt out. And I'm not saying ignore your kids. I'm saying have a solid morning routine where you're checking in and you're seeing, like, how do I feel? What do I need? Do I need water? Do I need more sleep? Do I need a break? Do I need a moment to meditate so I feel my best?
Yeah.
And then when you feel your best, you can provide your best to your children, to your family, to your business. And I think that's really, really important, because we have a generation of people who just want to serve and be minimalist, and then they're serving, but they're not, it's an ebb and flow. They're not allowing. And so they become depleted or become sick, and then they don't know why. And they're like, but I'm serving, so why is this happening to me? Or they're struggling to pay their bills, but then they're making a difference in the world. So I
Right.
really believe in balance. And I don't think that being selfless is something people should strive for. And this is my personal belief. I believe that you have to have a balance in between the two. So serving, this is how I explain it, serving from your overflow. So
Yes.
making sure that you are filling your cup. So what makes you feel good? And it's not about the material things for me. Like, material things are great, but it's not, but it's more about taking care of yourself. So making sure that, you feel comfortable in your home, because it's all energy. If you don't feel comfortable in your home, if you don't have a nice home that you can go to and a bed that's comfortable, that's going to affect your whole day.
Yeah.
So really making sure you're taking care of you and your cup is full, and then serving from your overflow, because if you serve from your overflow, you'll never allow yourself to become depleted.
I like that. I like that. So fact check, right? fact check. No, but thank you for sharing that, because there's a lot of people who take that term in that way. So I'm glad that you did say that, because me calling you selfless, I didn't mean to insult you like that. I didn't realize that. No, I'm just playing. I didn't mean to call you such a bad word, but no. I get it. I get that, and that makes so much sense. And it's a word we use loosely. It's also like happy, right? We use happy so much, but it's just like it's such an intricate conversation,
Mhm.
right? So I think that I need to be watch how I throw that word around a little bit, because you just broke that down, and I think I need to go back and listen to that part again as well, just because those two separate parts, like you said, there's like that balance there, and either way, if you're too far on either side, you're no good to anybody, right?
Exactly.
So that's
Yeah.
dope. I love that. I love that you broke
Yeah.
that down like that.
Yeah, I'm all about reprogramming the societal norms and the messages that we're sending people, because and specifically on this podcast, that really made me, like, the word selfless is like at the
Mhm.
top of my brain right now, because I just listened to this podcast. But they were saying that this is the message that they send to women, especially moms, that you have to be selfless. Being a
Yeah,
selfless mom is being a good mom. But it's like, no, if you give all that you have to give and you're not happy and you're not healthy, that's not being, because, like, if you go and you put everyone's needs before your own and you're not taking good care of yourself, that's not being a good mom. Being
yeah,
your healthiest and feeling your best, so you can show up and show your kids what good self-care looks like, what
yeah.
healthy looks like, what happy looks like. So a lot of times the messaging that we're sending to people is being stored in our subconscious. And I'm in a work of reprogramming that subconscious. So, like, it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to take that time for you first thing in the morning, because sometimes we feel like we have to go. And I'm passionate about it because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been selfless, and it caused me to have, like, really bad health, because I didn't have a self-care regimen. I was working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, like, I felt like I had to do that because we have to hustle and we have to grind, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I have this job to, like, show up. But it was at my expense. It was at the expense of my health and my mental health, my physical health. And what that's not what the universe wants. That's not what you have to do in order to have a purposeful or meaningful life. The first thing you have to do is take care of yourself so you can fulfill your purpose, so you can step into your power and sovereignty. If you're operating on not enough sleep, not enough water, not enough like nutrients in your body, and not enough like alone time to reset your brain, you're operating at 40%. So do you want to live your purpose operating at 40% or at 100%?
Right.
So it's really just like taking that time for you, prioritizing self-care.
That's interesting, and it's so funny because our brains are wired to like think in patterns, right? So I'm listening to how passionate you are about the word selfless, and it's almost like it struck a chord, and it
It
ties
did.
back to exactly what you told me why you moved to the beach in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dope that you were able to make that determine. And it's funny because it came to you after
Yeah.
you already had left the business, you already had moved to the beach, you already had found the sound therapy, and then you realized like, wait, I was off. I forgot the terms, but I was far left. Now I needed to be in the middle, and that's really good that you are a balanced person or working to become a balanced person in that way, because everything we do as energy, there's nothing everything as energy, everything we do is for the better of everything around us, right? No energy exists just to be great for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like we fill ourselves to pour out, like you said, from our overflow,
Mm-hmm.
but we become full so that we have something of substance to provide in that space of overflow. Everything we do, every conversation we have, especially conversations with like-minded people, we are sharpening these tools to then go and
Mm-hmm.
say, aha, this is what that client needs. Aha, this is what this person needs. Aha, this is what I need to
Mm-hmm.
further myself. So I think that is really incredible that it's not just about the business. It's about you found something that helped you heal you, and you wanted to share it after you healed you.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dope. I love it. I love it a lot. So what is one and I'm now we're coming we've been going for a while. What is one thing that you've experienced that you would consider an obstacle in beginning this transition to the sound therapy?
Whew. Um, hmm. Obstacle. So I would say not giving into stereotypes. So, obviously I'm a Black woman with purple hair. And I feel like a lot of the things that I do are not typical for society, doesn't feel like it's typical for someone that looks like me. So from owning my own business to traveling the world, I've traveled to multiple countries, to doing aerials. Like there was a handful of women of color that actually do aerials, and then sound therapy. It's not so basically when I say overcoming stereotypes, it's really not about color. It's not about black or white. It's about not feeling like because I'm this way, I can't do this. So this could
Yeah,
be like no one in your family went to college. This could
yeah,
be because I'm not tall enough, because I'm not skinny enough, because I'm not, whatever enough. So whatever the stereotype is for me, that was my stereotype. I came from single mom. I'm from the Bronx. I don't know if you knew that. I'm from the Bronx.
didn't know that.
So so like I feel like I had everything up against me saying, you can't do this because of what? So, like, whatever the stereotype is, just overcoming that and not allowing that to be an obstacle.
Mhm.
So, that took a lot of inner work, inner knowing. So, confidence, compassion, discipline, just really doing the work, showing up and saying, like, okay, because like I have, a mom, my first time wanting to leave the country, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to Costa Rica. She's like, why? I'm like, why not? So challenging that stereotype when people are like, why are you doing this? Why are you starting a business? Why are you, traveling to this place? Why are you with this person? Why not? So really challenging the social norms, the stereotypes, and anything that's standing in your way, that is the work. If you're like, I can't do this because, dissect that. dissect that. Who said you can't do it because of that reason? And really being like, and maybe it's because I'm a little stubborn and feisty. I'm like, who says that it has to be this way?
Right.
But I challenge every stereotype, and yeah, just do it.
I dig that a lot. And it's interesting you said that because I talk to people about fear a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when people say, well, fear did this or fear made me do or whatever, and in my head, and then to them, I'm like, that's not the case. Fear presented to you a problem that you felt was bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I'm not going to do it because this problem is bigger than myself. You allow fear, instead of being a focal point of where you need to work, to become a deterrent of what you really want. You allow fear to create an obstacle and make that obstacle bigger than you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that that's kind of the same way with what you're saying as far as stereotypes, is because we allow these stereotypes to say, well, because I'm from here, I have to do this because
Mm-hmm.
anything else is outside of what I'll be accepted for. Like you said, you're from the Bronx, you have purple hair, you have aerial studio, then you move to the beach and you do sound therapy, travel to countries that are not typical for someone from the Bronx, and not saying that they shouldn't, it's just not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you break all these norms, that can be kind of isolating. And the everyone is like, oh wow, why are you doing these things? And it's just so many times you have these conversations where people are just like, but why? And like you said, why not? Who said,
Mm-hmm.
bring them here, bring them to me? Who said that I shan't? Right? So,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and I think that that is amazing that you do that. And that is powerful for all of us to take that. The people who typically say, you can't, or why not, or why me, you can't, or why would you, look at where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, it's coming from someone whose best friend is fear,
Mm-hmm.
whose best friend is self doubt, the best friend is falling into the timeline of stereotypical behavior. And so you're from the Bronx, you gotta wear Timbs, you gotta stay in the cold, you gotta trek through the snow, you gotta go to the bodega, you gotta, all these things is just how they think this is what you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do. And the word supposed to is such a bad word. Like, that's worse than the F word and the B word, and the all these other words are so much smoother in comparison to supposed to, because now it's like, okay, you just told me my life for me, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me go back to minimalizing myself, let me go back to limiting my beliefs, and not uncovering anything new about myself because I'm supposed to be here. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that is incredible that you shared that. And I'm going to jump to my last question because I know we way over time, which is
I
cool and I
talk a
love
lot.
it. No, but it's great though, because you shared a lot of good points that I'm going to have to share with people extensively, because again, this is like, you took them to school today. What is the price for this thing we're doing right now? Like, what's the fee to listen to this episode? But no, um, really, how can people stay in touch with what you're doing? How can people follow the journey? How can people stay on board with what you're building? And also, one last question before that: do you do this remotely?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect, perfect.
So I am all over social media. My website is niajae.com, niajae.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. And then I also have my podcast is called Abundance Hack. And that is where I share my journey. So you actually can hear, and it's evergreen. So if someone's new to me and what I'm talking about is like kind of a lot, start from the beginning, start from episode 1. I'm on like 100 episodes right now, but if you start from the beginning,
197.
if you start from the beginning, it really takes you through my journey. So as I'm learning things, I'm sharing it with my audience. So if you're brand new to meditation, like start from the beginning, start from before I discovered sound therapy, because you hear the journey and you hear everything that I'm learning, and I'm very transparent. I share everything, like what's coming up for me, because as I started doing this work, I faced some stuff like, okay, now I have to deal with my mom issues and my dad issues and like relationships. And like, I go through everything in the
Yeah.
podcast. So yeah, you can definitely follow me there. The podcast, obviously you can listen to for free. If you do want to find out information about booking a session, I do sessions remotely. So I do chakra balancing online. I have also guided meditations and sound therapy recordings where you can purchase a bundle and just play it at home during your own time. I have journal prompts, like I do guided vocal journaling. So journaling in that theta state, so powerful. I'm actually trademarking this process because it's that good. But playing the sound bowls to take you into that theta state so you can access those subconscious blocks and journal it and release it, because that's the work, like letting go of the what we're supposed to do. And I talk about that a lot. So if you have interest in that, definitely reach out to me. And I have a lot of different options where we can do something live via Zoom, or you can do a recording where you can save it, keep it forever, because there isn't like an arrival, like, okay, I'm healed and that's it. Life is
Right.
constantly going to challenge you. So having these tools that you can just pull out of your toolbox whenever you need it.
That is super dope. And I think that you've shared so much today. So I just want to thank you for being so transparent with your journey, being honest about the things that, really kind of plague you and try to prevent you from being as amazing as you are, and
Thank
I'm
you.
glad they did not succeed because now we're sitting here. So kudos to you and what you're doing and your mission, your journey, um, and your modesty, right? Like 100 episodes. Yesterday, I looked and I'm like 197. Like I
I think
got so much catching
I
up to
I
do.
think I'm at 109, not
109.
197. Yeah.
Maybe I saw 97 the other day because I'm like,
Yeah, 97. Yeah, it
it's a
probably was
lot though.
97. Yeah.
It's a lot. So
It's a lot of value too. And it's a lot of value. So I was telling someone, because I have people that reach out to me that are not able to afford like working with me one-on-one, but I'm like, if
right,
you listen to this podcast and
yeah,
actually implement it into your life, it will change your life.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. And that
yeah.
is, I think that's really why um, there's so many levels and layers to what we do as
Mhm.
coaches, and there's so much the access people don't understand. Like the access does require a bigger investment because you're hands on. We're working first person. We're doing this thing, And if you're still wanting to get the information or get some kind of knowledge or feel connected, check out the podcast, check out the posts, check out the things we share so constantly. And then when you're ready, work with us one on one. Work, get a package and become part of the tribe. You're already in the tribe once you start listening. Once you start enjoying and becoming and changing your life, you're in the tribe. Get in the inner circle with one-on-one experience and working with the person because the value it provides, you already see that value because you're here, right? And so you see the value, you see the work that it brings into your own life. So I say check out the podcast, check out the website, see if there's a session that you can get, see if there's a recording that you can benefit from. And as you level up, then book Niajae one on one, get a session going. But that's the process for those, who don't have the resources right now. The whole goal of what we do is to get you to a space where the resources become available to you. And then as you evolve, you become a client, you become an inner circle, and things continue to shift for you as they shift for us. So I'm glad you said that because there's a big misconception about coaching as a concept and working with a coach. People feel like, oh, it's too expensive. The word too, I don't like that word because you see the value and you see how it impacts your life. There's people who reach out to us often after we post something like this helped me, this shifted my life, this changed my life, this helped me be able to leave a bad relationship or leave the job and get a better job. That value is there, but you just have to see it. And if you want to continue to work with us after those kind of situations or after that experience, the value is also there. And just imagine the level of leveling up you do at that point. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you broke that down. But Again, thank you so much for just being here today. And I know we have some technical issues. And so yeah, so this is like take 7 for us. For those who are, those who are listening, this is like take 7, but we got it right. But definitely thank you for being here. Any last words for anyone who may be on the fence in any journey in their life and wants to take a bigger leap into who they really are?
I would say lean in, lean in. So the things that we try to avoid, it's the things we really need to face. So lean in, whatever fears you have, whatever doubts you have, whatever aches and pains you're feeling in your body, whatever you're anxious about. Like anxiety is huge. It's at an all-time high right now. Lean in and figure out, what is this teaching me?
Right.
What is this teaching me? Because there's power in that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. So thank you again, Niajae, for being here. And as
Thank you for
always,
having me.
no, your pleasure. Listen, this is like a second or third home for you. So if you ever want to come back, meet me right here a little bit later though, and and we'll do this thing because you have so much more information that I and other people listening can benefit from. So kudos to you. If you haven't already, while you're listening to this, go check out Abundance Hack Podcast. It's available everywhere, and you get to hear her be in her element and talk about some things that you'll be surprised the things that I talked about there and how well they transition into your everyday life. So kudos again to you for that. I wish you much, much, much success and greatness. And thank you for everyone listening. And as always, be great and be dope. Peace.